Welcome back to Hello Africa Broadcast Channel.
ልንገርህ ኮምቦልቻ ኢሹ አካውንት ነበር። እኔ አሁን በዛን ሰዓት በእኛ ውሳኔ ነው ትክክል ነው ውሳኔው ብዬ ነው ማለት ነው።
10 points that Getachewu Reda confessed about TPLF, gold trade in war. Getachewu Reda has long been recognized as one of the most influential leaders within the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. As a high-ranking official, he was deeply involved in the political and military leadership of the TPLF during the tumultuous years of the Ethiopian conflict in the Tigray region. His insider perspective meant he witnessed firsthand the decisions, strategies, and internal dynamics that shaped the fate of millions. Throughout the war, Getachewu was often seen as a spokesperson and strategist, representing the TPLF's interests on both national and international stages, and was considered a key architect of the group's wartime policies. In a shocking and unprecedented move, on March 13th, Getachewu Reda gave a lengthy and candid interview to a journalist in Addis Ababa that reverberated throughout Ethiopia and beyond. In this rare and bold conversation, he publicly criticized the TPLF not simply as a political movement, but as a criminal enterprise. However, Getachewu was careful to distinguish between the actions of a corrupt few and the broader membership of the organization. He acknowledged that while certain leaders exploited the war for personal gain, many others within the TPLF demonstrated admirable resilience and dedication, fighting not for power or profit, but to protect their communities and secure their people's survival. He expressed deep respect for those who, despite overwhelming adversity, remained steadfastly on the side of the people, sacrificing for the greater good. Getachewu's confessions were both comprehensive and deeply personal. He exposed the internal fractures and criminal operations that had taken root within the TPLF leadership, confirming suspicions long held by the Ethiopian public. According to Reda, the war was manipulated by some leaders as a cover for illicit activities, including gold smuggling, human trafficking, and extortion. He did not shy away from naming names, directly accusing individuals such as General Migbe of profiting from the conflict by using excavators in active war zones to dig for gold. Instead of safeguarding their people, these elites turned the tragedy of war into a lucrative business, exploiting both fighters and civilians for personal enrichment. Among the most damning revelations was the theft of billions of birr, with Reda citing a staggering 20 billion birr looted from Kombolcha alone. He described a systematic pattern of criminality where civilians were kidnapped and held for ransom, forcing families abroad to pay thousands of dollars to secure the release of their loved ones. These were not isolated incidents, Reda insisted, but part of a deeply embedded system of corruption that permeated the organization's leadership. Reda's admission, "I'm tired of lying," marked a rare moment of vulnerability from a man who had long been at the forefront of the TPLF's public image. He confessed that he now wished to devote himself to peace and youth development, but his detailed account painted a brutal picture of a leadership that consistently placed wealth and power above human life. He spoke of how the TPLF, for nearly 3 decades, ruled not through ideals, but through intimidation, manipulation, and systematic theft, turning regional autonomy into a tool for separatism and using the machinery of government for personal and factional gain. One of the most heartbreaking moments of his confession came as he recounted the words of grieving families who had lost loved ones in the conflict. He recalled a father who told him, "If you had made the peace deal 3 months earlier, my son would still be alive." Another father, who had already lost several children, pleaded with Reda to prevent further war so that his only daughter might survive, marry, and help their shrinking community rebuild. These stories, Reda admitted, left an indelible mark on his conscience and forced him to confront the true cost of the conflict. Reda's revelations stripped away the last remaining veil from the TPLF, exposing it not as a resistance movement, but as a criminal structure sustained by war, profiteering, fraud, and betrayal. He confirmed what many Ethiopians had long suspected, that the greatest enemy of peace in Ethiopia was not merely external, but lay within the very organization that claimed to be fighting for justice and freedom. That moved Getachewu Reda to reevaluate his path. The pain and pleas of families, the mounting casualties, and the devastation wrought upon his own people convinced him that he could no longer remain silent or complicit. Reda himself survived a near miss during the war, narrowly escaping an attack that claimed the lives of his guards and several comrades. The trauma of losing those close to him and witnessing the suffering of so many left a deep and lasting impact on his soul. He resolved to dedicate the rest of his life to working for peace, progress, and the well-being of the people of Tigray. In his closing remarks, Reda expressed a heartfelt wish for the future, to see Tigray transform into a region of development and opportunity, where both young people and adults, including the most vulnerable, can thrive. He called for a new Chapter 1 defined not by conflict and division, but by hope, unity, and shared prosperity. For Reda, the ultimate aim is to help build a Tigray that leaves behind the legacy of war and embraces a future of peace, dignity, and progress for all its people. On the day Getachewu Reda gave his interview in Addis Ababa, the TPLF's time as a legally recognized party had just expired. The National Election Board of Ethiopia, Migbe, had officially revoked the TPLF's legal status, citing the party's failure to meet key requirements, including holding a General Assembly within the stipulated deadline. This deregistration stripped the TPLF and its leaders of any legal authority to operate as a political entity, intensifying uncertainty around its future and the peace process. Despite having served as part of the TPLF leadership, Getachewu revealed that he became a target for assassination by elements within the group. Even as he was once a central figure, his outspoken criticism and willingness to expose internal wrongdoing put his life at risk, highlighting the deep divisions and dangers facing those who break ranks within such organizations. Don't forget to subscribe to our Hello Africa YouTube channel to get all kinds of important news from Africa. Thank you.